obviously getting contacted by Zandig, how did that sort of come about? Like, how did you actually get into the situation of being invited into CZW?
I was at my apartment. Was at my apartment, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and for whatever reason I was screening that call. I didn't want to answer the phone, and I hear this voice go, Messiah, Billy, John Zandig, CZW. And I was like, what? I thought it was Jake Wallace. I thought he was ribbing me.
Taking the piss, yeah.
Yeah, because he's from Philly too, and they sounded alike. I'm like, I was gonna go, well, Jake, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, hello. He goes, yeah, is this Billy? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you're not with the porno guys anymore? I was like, no. He goes, well, John Zandig, CZW. I was like, oh shit, this really is John Zandig. And up to that point, all I knew about CZW was that they used a weed whacker. That's all I knew. The only thing I was familiar with was what I saw in the magazines. That's it. I didn't know who anybody was. I knew Zandig because he was always, in the magazines. But talking to him, he was asking me what I was doing that weekend. I was like, well, I already have a booking. He's like, oh, that's too bad. I wanted you to come in and wrestle our champion, Justice Payne. I was like, oh, okay. And I told him, I'm like, hang on, let me see if I can get out of the booking, and I'll get back to you. He's like, all right, cool. So I called, and I was wrestling for a promotion. I was going to wrestle for a promotion called MPW, Millennium Pro Wrestling, I think it was. The guy who ran it was a guy named Logan Xavier, really cool guy. I called Logan, explained the situation, and he was like, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, no, you can. And I think I was the champion at the time too. And I explained him, the opportunity, and he was really excited for me. And he's like, he let me out of the booking, which he didn't have to do at all. I called Zandig back, told him I could do it. And I think that was like a Wednesday. I flew out on Friday, and then had the show on Saturday. And yeah, I mean, by all accounts, I mean, I don't know if it was only meant to be one show. I just assumed it was. But it was like, all right, come in, you're going to wrestle our champion. And I knew nothing about Justice Payne. John had Z-Bar, a guy named Z-Bar, pick me up from the airport.
I remember Z-Bar, yeah.
Z-Bar's first words to me were, I thought you were taller. I was like, oh, okay, you're a dick.
Like, what a random fucking thing to say.
Yeah, and he does that a lot. He's a cool guy, but he was just, I thought you were taller. I was like, oh, nope, this is me. And he took me to Zandig's house, and at the time, it was this huge house we called the Zanshin. It was just this huge place, talking to him and everything. And he then took me to Nick Gage and Justice Payne's house because they shared a house together. I met Nick Gage, was talking to Nikki, and Justice Payne wasn't going to be there because if I remember correctly, it was his girlfriend's birthday. So he wasn't going to be home until early in the morning or something like that. And so I talking to Nikki, I said, hey, do you have any video on Justice Payne? He goes, yeah, I got a ton. So I stayed up all night and watched videos and matches on Justice Payne. The first video I watched, and I didn't. He gave me Cage of Death 3. It was Cage of Death 3, and they had just done that show the month prior, and I watched that show from top to bottom. I only had the intention of watching Payne's match, but I watched the show from top to bottom, and after watching it, I just thought to myself, what the hell do they want with me? Like, these guys are awesome. Like, what do they want with me? And so I watched more Justice Payne matches. I met Payne Saturday morning, and he and I talked. Went to, and I didn't even know it was at the ECW arena. I had no idea until I watched Cage of Death 3. And I was like, I just assumed that they used the ECW arena for their big show, and then we're going to go to a different place. He's like, no, we're wrestling at the ECW arena. I was like, really? I was like, all right. So went there. So I was super stoked to be wrestling at the ECW arena. And Payne and I got together, and we put together a match. And lucky for me, everything went really well. And it was a match. And I do remember, because I had no idea I got busted open hard way during the match. I had no idea. After the match, I was going to go to the back, and I went in the locker room, and all the boys were clapping. which we didn't do that in XPW. And so I was like, oh, wow, these guys are really friendly. I was like, wow, these guys are really nice. And guys were coming up to me saying, good match, good match. And as I was getting my head stapled, Zandig just came up to me, just, like passing by. I was like, hey, you want to come back next month? It's like, yeah, that would be great. He's like, all right. And that was it. And from there, I was part of CZW.